Hello adventurers, Lex Gray here. Welcome to another entry. Today we are exploring episode 8 of Morter's Travels. Let's begin. Now, I have purchased this simple little wireless numpad, which will allow me to do a few things. Currently, you guys don't see the dice. There is no dice on screen. No longer is half of the screen a digital dice roller on Mac. What I did using I think it's called B's Dice Roller, and a few of parameters you can set up in it with OBS, I can show these three dice. So we have a D6 and two D10s. I can hide it, and I can also roll it with a click of a button. So these dice will now appear on my ugly mug, and when we don't need it, goodbye. When I do need it, I can recall what I rolled before so that they are still there. I can even roll behind the scenes. Should be rolling now. There we go. That easy. So again, we have the two D10s and the D6. Also, a couple of easy transitions for my face, Escabur. That's where we'll be looking at for progress. That's our map right there. You can see we are still at that same area, just outside of the Pantheon Peaks, Peaks of Pantheon. And I have this simple little safe slide, I call it, a logo to go to when I need to uh, intro or outro. That's it. A couple of small changes. So most of the time you'll see me here, and of course behind me is the location where our character will be, and on the bottom right of the screen is our hero, Morter. Now, what happens now? I'm going to pause the video and take a quick look at my prior episodes to see anybody had any ideas for where we should begin. There was definitely substantial comments from my probably most loyal viewer, and I really appreciate it as always. But I looks like I'll have to just kind of decide on my own what we're going to be doing and what happens here. So I have the Ironsworn book as always to reference, and we rolled up Avenge and Trade. Couple of couple of unique ideas sprung up between the last episode and now. Trade, not looking at it in regards to just giving an item to someone else, but actually a trade route. So I think that where we are currently located if I can do this right, in Escabur, we are between Arlock and the peaks of Pantheon. There is most likely a path that is close by where travelers traverse. So trade is going to be what we notice. We see a route where we came through before while we were traveling to this journey we're on, going to the mountains. And avenge is something I believe tied to the bandits. So here's what I'm thinking. The bandits themselves, seeing that their prisoners, their handful of prisoners, including the boy, Alden, was rescued, or someone took the prisoners. This obviously pissed off the bandits. I think they're smart enough to, probably not the brightest bunch, but I believe they are smart enough to notice eventually. So we left in time based on our roles. We didn't really run into any of the bandits, surprisingly, in the actual physical camp. We ran into them on the outsides. So I think maybe a few minutes or 15 or so minutes after we vacated the area, a couple of the bandits caught on and noticed that the prisoners were missing, which in turn triggered an alarm, a siren of sorts, some kind of mechanism to let off a loud blaring sound echoing throughout the cavern, the chasms of the mountains, between the mountains. Because remember, the base, the bandit camp itself is at the bottom of a very small, narrow valley, just enough to have probably 5 or 6 tents set up to call it home for a bit. Maybe enough to establish as an actual base of operations for some time, maybe a few months. But it depends on the conditions of the environment, if there's a lot of snow, if it's prone to avalanche, which we did encounter before. So I think that avenge and trade relates to the bandits. The bandits are going to rally together and make way back to Arlok because Arlok is their most recent victim that they stole from. Now, here's a question for the Oracle. Let's pull up the dice. Is Arlok often raided by these bandits? I think 75% because if we look at the map, there is not many locations besides Corwood to bother. And Corwood is run by a criminal syndicate, and several beneath it that have their own little regions in the city. City, I'm using that term lightly, which means that I think that this bandit group, which we will probably need a name here in a second, is not dumb enough to go frequently visit and steal from Corwood. Corwood is off limits to other criminal syndicates in the North Escabur Islands, which also leads to the lore that the northern island of Escabur, the region of Escabur, is probably the most crime-ridden, probably the unsafest territory, the most lawless land out of the two. I'm thinking the south end of Escabur is the safest, the most civilized. So the further north you go, the more lawlessness you run into. So Corwood is off limits. Let's get a name for this group because they are becoming a faction, as I call them, a bigger faction than probably what was necessary. But if it adds to the story, why not? So what we'll do is roll up. Um, I was going to roll. That's I'm sorry. Right. So the percentage, the chance that they attack, that they often. How should I phrase this? Does this bandit group will eventually name often steal from Arlok for supplies, food, etc.? I think 75% chance. So I roll the dice, and we look at the 2d10s. That's a 33, which is a yes. So Arlok is their most frequent settlement that they visit. So I will put that away. Okay, now I'm going to basically a table that has names for uh, locations. But with factions, it's often a blend between a conventional name, a thematic name, and because we have the frost hands and we have the cold fronts, so a lot of puns in regards to cold. So you can't really use a lot of these names that are coming up. But what I can do is just think of one on the spot. I'm not really seeing much tables in here that comes up with faction names. So these guys, I'm going to use a name from an older series I did. Called them it was the Misfortune, I think. I'm going to bring those guys back, and these will be called the Misfits. It's simple. The Misfits, they are misfits. They are a infamous bandit clan in this area. So I'm going to write down infamous bandit clan. And so, which that puts us now back to episode 7, where we have to figure out. We now know that the Misfits are on their way back to Arlok. And because of where Morter is established, my question I set for myself here on this episode is what happens? What do we see? What do we see is the more important one. What happens? We just decide that. The Misfits are heading back in full force, pissed off, guns ablazing because of the prisoners are missing, and the leader of the bandits, the Misfits, whoever it is, eventually will find out maybe that yeah, they stole our prisoners. We got to go back to Arlok. I knew it was that intruder you guys saw and you let him through, you bastards, and probably killed one of his own. He probably killed the 2 scouts that let Morter through because Morter was able to sweet talk his way, even with the scout remaining observant and following him. So he probably killed those two dummies for letting eventually, which turned out to be the worst choice possible. But it helped us out, helped Morter out. Now, we know what they're doing. So, does Mortar see this? I'm going to say he does. He sees a trail of dust and cloud as these horses on horseback, mainly just horseback. So now we're kind of in the Wild West, kind of Wild Westing, where we see horseback. We see that these bandits, they are galloping their way through this route here, through this open field, through all the way back to Arlok. And Mortar is concerned because, again, Albin is gone. He doesn't know that that magical robe transported Albin safely back to Arlok, which means he is once again in the line of danger. So even though the robe kind of helped complete the quest, it inadvertently put him in harm's way once again, and it was more of a sidestep in help because Mortar's not there. He's not like didn't take Albin back safely himself. He didn't supervise the travels. He is alone. And Mortar doesn't have his horse. Remember, the horse was unfortunately something happened. The horse fell off because of that slope, that snow, the avalanche. I've concluded I forgot about the horse in general. We were just traveling through. I said we were traveling, and never really stated how. And so I decided that yeah, it makes sense. The horse probably just unfortunately died, fell off to the side because of the avalanche. Here's another thing. This is lore related. While all these shenanigans are unraveling, we can't forget about what's happening on the southern islands. This is where the Hulk campaign is parallel. Remember, this is we're going kind of back through the midterms of the Hulk campaign, mainly the past echoes, which was our prior arc. First was Dark Realms, past echoes, and then now it's this one. It's Mortar's Travels. So we're taking a step back, and remember when Holf was dealing with the dragon, the actual when he appeared in the Temple of Dragon. That is going to be. Let me show you guys the map here. If I think the map just kind of, yep, it's just south of the image you were looking at, so it's cut off temporarily. Anyways, it's just southeast of ruins of Ashford. It's just on the edge, just on the coastline. It's a tall Hogwarts-looking structure, and when Mortar, Half, appeared and inadvertently spawned, brought back to life, or from his slumber, the evil overlord, with his name was the Master, right? I'm using Mystery Science Theater references here. The Master spawned back, came back from his little healing process, like um, Thor's father, um, in his eternal sleep. That was similar. So I believe here's what I'm trying to say. The dragon form that the master takes on, he's a shapeshifter. He's a wizard, sorcerer, any whatever, evil sorcerer, shapeshifter. He takes the form of dragon. The form of the dragon is based on a legend. That dragon lives in these hills. That's what I'm trying to say. The dragon is called the Pantheon. That's why these mountains are called the Pantheon, the peaks of Pantheon, because many millennia ago, dragons were not rare, but they weren't exactly abundant. They weren't around. There wasn't hundreds of them. There was only a select, probably a few dozen. They were a race. We don't know if they were intelligent. We don't know if they were just flying around, killing, pillaging, etc. But basically, these dragons were a very dominant, dangerous species. And they were eventually slaughtered, killed off, died of age, etc. Whatever. They weren't okay. They were endangered at that point. So Pantheon, I'm going to write this down. The dragon equals Pantheon. And that is the shape that the master took on because the master knew very well about the lore regarding Pantheon. So he used that to his advantage to instill fear in the southern island to try to, as a tyrant, to try to conquer. It didn't work out too well because again there was a big time gap between Hulk's birth and the eventual defeat of the master. However, he defeated. Maybe the people of Haldreth defeated him. There was a big rebellion. It could be several factors. We can also do. I can probably do a future um, series based on that time slot. So the Pantheon dragon is what the master based his dragon appearance on. He claimed to be in the great dragon of Pantheon, blah blah blah. But remember, I named it the Temple of Dragon, so I probably can go back and fix that to the Temple of Pantheon. But I want to leave it for now. So maybe he never claimed to be the Pantheon dragon, but he claimed just to look like a dragon from the years of the dragon. and that was Pantheon. So the one that we know for a fact, Mortar doesn't know, no one else knows. Not even the bandits who are literally staying in the mountains of Pantheon, the peaks of Pantheon, knows that the very, very highest peak, which is right here, there is a temple or something, some structure that houses the very remaining immortal Pantheon dragon, the great Pantheon. That is the very remaining dragon who slumbers, sleeps, whatever. He's pulling a Beerus from Dragon Ball Super. He's up there. He is on his own. Whatever happens. So how can that become relevant now? Here's what happens. Because because the dragon, the appearance of the master's dragon took form and requires a lot of magic to do so. I believe that probably triggered something, an anomaly in reality. And it has to do with the Dark Realms. So, in some manner, the Dark Realms is related to the Master. Here's a trifecta: the Dark Realms, the Master, or I should say, the Dark Realms, the Master, Pantheon. There, that triangle is where somehow the dragon is connected to the Dark Realms, and so is the Master. We know the Master now, chronologically, back in the Holf campaign, is defeated, quote unquote, defeated. He could have survived. He's probably dead. We don't know. But the Pantheon dragon, here as I'm saying now, in case I just forget, is somehow related to Dark Realms. So I'm thinking that the dragon, Pantheon dragon himself, is actually a similar symbolism, has similar symbolism to Godzilla. Now, if we go to Godzilla lore, if I'm not mistaken, and it depends on, if it's Americanized or Japanese Godzilla. I think Americanized version was trying to make Godzilla to be like the bread and butter of Earth. Like he was the protector of Earth, and there was any abnormalities, any threats, like an alpha predator, then alpha beta, however you want to perceive it, the alpha male, kaiju, the Godzilla. If there is a disturbance in the force, it awakens and it comes back and it defeats that force and then goes back to sleep. That's literally what's happening here. So, because the Master returned, I think, or at least the Dark Realms is a controlled uh, parallel dimension that reflects this reality, which we've been through in the first series with AI. We could have explored it much more. But, anyways, we know that if the dimensional portals open up around the sacred land, sacred sites, which it did in the church at Arlok, and it did back in the chamber in Ashwood. So when these portals started opening up, this will cause a disturbance in the force that the dragon just has some kind of sixth sense to know that, oh, what's going on? I need to see who's doing this, and then the dragon pretty much plays hall monitor and will go defeat and pillage whatever is bothering him. So he has some kind of like sixth sense or what do you call it? Omniscient force power to know that there is some anomalies happening throughout the land of Escabur. And the dragon's kind of self-proclaimed protector, though more of a neutral force, not like I'm a good guy, I'm going to protect that village from that powering tyrant who's eventually going to take over that village. I don't think the dragon really cares about these little human activities, but mainly whatever disrupts the landscape and just threatens the land itself. That's probably more the dragon. So I guess in essence, not just Godzilla, but the dragon is a mother nature in this. So not just theoretically, not just figuratively, but also literally protector of the land. So I'm going to put that it's a little quotation as Godzilla slash Mother Nature. That uh, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little lore. What do you call it? Lore rumination? Um, yeah, because I was really going down. I think the tangent actually kind of helps right now because I don't know if the dragon comes back yet. Let's ask the Oracle. Is it too crazy for a dragon to pop up right now? And also, I can't forget, um, with vows, we actually might be able to tick two for the father because the boy, Albin, is back. He's back in the village, though in harm's way, still technically rescued. So that means our current quest is return to Arlok. That's obvious. But before that, I'm looking at the quest moves. Basically, it is progress. You reach a milestone, and I think we did. So I'm going to mark 2 ticks for my father is missing, which is our background out. Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to ask the dreaded question, does this dragon return? Is there enough for this dragon to sense a disturbance because of the temple or the chamber in Ashford was opened and the temple in the church was disrupted, the sacred site? I don't think so, but I still want to ask the oracle. So I'm not going to count that roll. I forgot to. Actually, looks like it might have rolled itself, but I need a percentage. So a minuscule chance. So 10% is the lowest I can go for my oracle. So here we go. 10% or less. It's a yes. A dragon appears. Okay, that's a 43 based on 43. So that's a negative. The dragon does not come back, which is fine. No dragon. No dragon yet. Okay, we're back to grounded reality. So what Mortar needs to do is figure out a way to get back to the village in time. He doesn't have the rope. He doesn't have any transportation. He just defeated a wolf, so he's a little worn out. Health-wise, we're at +3. Spirit, we're at +1. Supply, we're at +3. So we're kind of in various spots and conditions. Our momentum is 5. So what we need to do is roll for, well, this will be kind of gather information. What he can try to, I'm going to say that him being a rogue, he has a bow. Short bow, nothing special, a few arrows maybe, but he has a bow. He has no transportation. He has no rope that he didn't even know about. Anyway. He didn't know that its power anyways, but now he kind of does know that it takes you somewhere, just not sure where. He's not even considering if it's an invisibility cloak. Maybe that's something he overlooked. But anyways, that was me also. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe the kid's invisible and he doesn't realize it. So he's jumping the gun. Maybe he was thinking about that, but then the wolf appears, so he kind of lost track of what he was thinking. And then he's now outside. He's like, "Oh gosh!" And then all of a sudden, you see the trampling of these dozens of horseback bandits going towards Arlok because they know for a fact that, or most likely, Arlok is their biggest customer in exchange. That they're going back to get to strike them to pillage the kill and say this was we had some kind of deal, etc. That might be an actually interesting take. Okay. So I had this subplot where like someone within a villager within the village of Arlok was a mole, was a under like informant, and would tip off the bandits using some magical item to talk, like a long range walkie-talkie, and say, "Hey, we got some shipment in, or blah blah blah. Now's your chance." And he would just remain as a low, a nothing, a common villager, and nobody would even bother to check. So that's one subplot I had, which would explain why these bandits always come back and pillage at very specific times. So that's a potential idea. Again, I hope that's not an idea that I remember and then completely forget. But that's even if we get to that point. If Arlok doesn't, because we're really focused on Arlok quite a bit in this arc, which is completely fine. Okay, so we're gathering information. We were going to gather information, but what we're going to do is face danger because they are roughly hundreds of feet away, hundreds of yards away, and a short bow, I don't even think can shoot that far, depending on his skill. But let's ask the Oracle, how far are we from the actual trail that they're galloping on? Let's pull up the dice. Okay, let's say, are they within 100 yards? I'm going to say 25% chance. Uh, that's a negative. They are not. So let's say they are 200 yards away. Because well, actually, that's almost a strong no. So 300 yards away. Okay, well, maybe Arlok is going to. Okay, he's skilled, so he can start a fire. That's obvious. He's obsessed on the whole idea, which means he's going to be able to. Here's what Arlok is going to do. Arlok. Mortar is skilled and obsessed. Mortar's going to take his short bow, light a fire on the tip, light a flame, and fire it in the direction of almost in front of, in sight of the bandits to get to distract them. He wants to pull them away so they don't go towards the village. He might distract a few of them, but he's going to try that. This is risky, but he doesn't want these guys to go pillage and destroy and kill. Because again, he doesn't know about the subplot I mentioned. He just thinks they're going to go back and find and kill everyone. But he's going to try to think of a plan to distract them, run off back into the mountains, maybe, or hide. Maybe hiding is best, or at least just distract them. So let's focus on step by step. We're going to face danger. This will be, or actually, if we're shooting an arrow, this might be something else. And we also have that asset card from earlier that was the ward. So the ward, when you walk in a white circle, sprinkling the ground with a salt, roll plus hits. When a foe first crosses. You know what? And this was actually mentioned, sorry. This was mentioned by a commenter saying that the Ironsworn is very difficult. It is. It can be difficult, challenging for the player character. So, I don't want to go completely impossible with them. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reduce the amount of bandits that are actually en route to Arlok. The bandit count will be, let's base it on a d6. If it's too low, I might add to it. So let's get our dice back. The d6 represents how many bandits are on their way. 5. Fair enough. 5 is perfect. That's good. So there's 5 bandits that are on their way to Arlok. So we have 5. Now, is the boss with them? That's 50-50. Maybe there is no boss. Maybe it's just a disorganized bunch of bandits, misfits, and they don't have a leader. They just kind of do what they want. But that will kind of take away from my subplot idea. Like, there's someone who works with the bandits, the misfits, who is kind of taking charge. Sorry about that. I had to fix something. Okay. So, question for the Oracle. 50% chance that the leader of the misfits is with this specific group. 50% chance. He is not. This is another group of scouts, but probably not scouts, but strikers. People who are, maybe this is the usual group that goes to Arlok. There's probably a few dozen bandits altogether in the Misfits, but there's probably a specific bunch that has some experience in long-range combat and also close-range melee. So these are like the biggest tough guys, or these are like a good amount of the fighters that are going on their way. Fighters and a couple of rangers that are going on their way. Okay, so he's going to take his bow, fire a burning arrow in the direction to get attention, and before that, while they're getting distracted, he'll do the little circle with the ward, and he's going to set up a trap. So when you do the ward, which is right here, if you guys want to take a snapshot of that, that's the word. We're doing the first one, which is the one I have by default. When you walk a wide circle, sprinkle on the ground with salt, roll a plus which. I made a joke about that in a couple episodes ago. On a strong hit, choose 2. On a weak hit, choose 1. The choices are: when a foe first crosses the boundary, take +1 momentum. The second option is when you first inflict harm against a foe within the boundary, inflict +1 harm. Your ward, and then the third one is ward is likely to blank, which is an oracle question, to trap a foe within the boundary. Okay, and then the second, or then the rest of them is just the upgrades. So the miss, I'm guessing nothing really happens. It doesn't say what a miss does. Okay, I'm going to use the ward soon. So he's going to use the arrow, which will be, he's not trying to hit anybody. He's trying to distract them. And I think that is technically a danger, face danger. So when he attempts something risky, we're literally trying to distract. We're trying to get the attention of these eventual pillagers, the misfits. We're going to roll with our dice for the first time, at least a move roll using my new method here. So this will be precision, agility, speed. So this is with a bow. This will be with edge. Our edge is actually +3. So here we go. We're rolling +3. and that's obviously a low roll. And whew, that's a 4, so that beats one of the dice. So it's a weak hit, which kind of expected. A weak hit, you succeed but face a troublesome cost. Choose one. You are delayed, lost advantage, or face a new danger, suffer -1 momentum. You are tired, hurt, endure harm. You are dispirited or afraid. And the arrow. The arrow, I choose one. So you succeed. We get their attention by sacrificing an arrow, which might be the very last arrow, which also means I can't use my bow anymore. So I'm no more bow use. And there's no arrows left. I have no arrows. In case if I forget, I apologize. But that is what I'll choose. It seems the most least complicated one, consequential one. And yeah, I just choose, I sacrifice resources -1 supply, which I'm down to +2 now. So we get their attention. They turn around. Well, it was a weak hit, so maybe let's ask the Oracle. Do they all turn around, or just for fun, let's try the action at Beam's Oracle? Maybe they are going to do something else completely. I don't know. Maybe this might be too complicated, or this might be too much for just a roll. Hey, what's that kind of roll? So we'll pull up the Oracle here. Okay, action. What do they do? The action they do is Invisalign. I don't have no more dice. There it is. Ahaha. 42. They demand. Oh, that gives me an idea. And then the next one is theme. Demand 89. Truth. Oh, easy. That's literally one of the. Okay, so two of the. Let's say three. One of the main bandits, probably the leader of this little group. He's like, "Hey, go check out who that was." That could, So demand truth. He says, basically, go find out who that is. And so he directs three of the bandits to go. Well, let's see how many actually demands. If it's too much, I'm going to cut back on it. 3. There we go. So the 2 bandits remain en route to Arlok. So 2 continue, while 3 are spin around and go to the direction of where the arrow came from. 3 turn around, and they circle back to Morter position, the little campsite. Now, this is where we're going to use our ritual. This is the ward, and so we use ward. But we have to figure out what the intent is here. We use ward. He knows of this technique. Maybe his father, his adoptive father, taught him. Damon taught him. And so it says your ward is likely, ask the Oracle, to trap a foe within the boundary. Let's figure out what it does, what this ward can do. Is it ever changing? Does it just do the same thing the entire time? When we choose that option, so I'm going to ask the Oracle what the ward does, as those dice were on my face the entire time. Something that I'll forget to turn off the dice. So we have 36, which is suppress. It's perfect. Suppress, let's see, what's our next number here? 2. Ability. Oh, it freezes them in place. So the minute they get inside this ward, it stops them. They can't move. Like they become still in time. It made some time manipulation spell. It freezes them as they get probably close to the center, and they can't move, all 3 of them, which means maybe for like a couple minutes or so, a couple moves. So yeah, okay, so we did the ward. It freezes time, just so I know what I'm doing here. Freezes time, and they approach. So the 3 bandits are approaching. Maybe we started a fire in the tree where our camp was, so I'm going to write that down. Fire started in the tree to bait pull them in, because when you fire an arrow and then eventually it gets in their line of sight, they're like, where that arrow come from? We need a signal to say, hey, that's where we're going to go. So these morons are easily distracted and then compelled to come into this trap. So the tree's on fire, and maybe Morter is going to either scream for help, act like someone's trapped. Maybe that could be it. Like, oh, maybe it's the prisoners. That could work. So let's try this out. Oh, this would be a secure advantage, I think. When you assess a situation, make preparations, which we're doing, or attempt to gain a leverage, this is what we're doing. So it says to envision your action. We're trying to trick them into getting into the circle, the ward, which again is right here. Let's keep this in play. And we're trying to trick them into getting into the circle. So that's technically leverage, or more so make preparations. So we're doing this with wits. This is straight up. Well, actually, shadow might qualify for this. Deception, stealth, trickery. Wits is expertise, insight, observation. That's probably going to be shadow. Our shadow's 4. So here we go. We're going to secure an advantage. Okay, let's pull our dice up. We're rolling with +4. Shadow. That is a 7, I think. 2 and a 7. That's a 5 for our roll. So it's a weak hit. And I can do momentum. I can't do momentum. I can't. That's a weak hit. Okay, a weak hit. Your advantage is short-lived. Take +1 momentum. Okay, so the spell, I take +1 momentum. The spell doesn't last long enough to get all 3 of them trapped. Maybe, okay, let's say that only the advantage is short-lived. They do get in there, but the ward is only able to trap 2 of them. So 2 trapped, and then for now, 2 trapped for now. 1 just was a little further back as they entered, looking around like, what's going on in here? They're not going into the fire, but they're like walking up to it, and the ward is right there, the circle. They walk past, they freeze in time, and they're like, oh, they freeze. And the third bandit stops. He's like, whoa, what the hell? That's where we strike. So we're going to attack. This is probably going to combat. Yeah, 1 remains. And so this will be enter the fray. We are focusing on 1 bandit right now, with the other 2 backs turned. They're going to hear everything, maybe. I don't know how the word affects their senses. Freezes in time? That's actually a good question for the Oracle. When they're frozen in time, can they see everything happening around them? 50-50. I just don't know. Nope, they can't. So when they're unfrozen, they snap out of it. It's like it was almost an instant to them. So they cannot hear or see anything happening around them. They're frozen. Everything happening around them progresses. They do not experience the frozen time in their point of view. Okay, we're entering the fray. So let's get my additional sheet here. We're going to basically just call this a bandit and a misfit bandit, more specifically. It's going to be just 1 individual, so that means I'm thinking it's going to be troublesome. There's just 1 person. Is this going to be worth doing a whole dialogue on, or am I going to do a battle with this one? Oh, sorry, with this one. This one, I think battle might be best for this one. So, okay, here we go. So when you fight a battle, it happens in blur. Envision your objective and roll. Okay, I'm envisioning that we're going to just be straight up fighting with this guy, hand-to-hand combat, or trying to. We don't have any arrows left, so we're going to try to jump out from behind and hitman him, Agent 47 him, from behind. So that'll be fight in using careful tactics, trickery to befuddle. This will most likely be outsmart. So he's going to try to ambush him, which kind of falls in several categories. I'm going to go with wits here. So we're going to roll with wits. We'll get our dice back. And we're rolling. Remember, this is battle. This represents the entire moment, the entire battle happened with this 1 bandit. If it's the 2, then we might focus on a couple of the moves. Maybe. So here we go. Plus wits, that's 3. Actually, shadow might qualify. It's trickery. Let's use shadow. My apologies. Shadow +4. Rolling. +4 on this roll. We have... Oh, yikes, that's tough. 5. Okay, my momentum can lower it to a weak hit. So, yeah, that 5 doesn't qualify if it equals, so we're going to be lowering it to a weak hit. Or lowering momentum down to 2 as a weak hit, which means, let's remove the dice. Oops, not re-roll them. And I think I re-rolled it by mistake. Yep. All right, now, a weak hit, you achieve your objective, but without a cost. Not without cost. Without a cost. That'd be great. Wow. Great. Love the weak hit system in this game. No. You pay the price. So to pay the price, I could just jump to the Oracle, but I think the other 2 are going to be unfrozen, and the ward effect wears off. So that's what I'm going to let it be. We do defeat that bandit, but now it actually turns into the same to the 2. So I'm going to make progress here. I'm going to hack the rules. We're still within the same battle, encounter, combat, but it's still troublesome. So now there's 2 remaining. We killed the first one, but now the 2 pop out, the ward wears off, and they're going to attack us. So what I'll do here is now we enter the fray. We already did that. We did battle. So I'm going to use the blade bond, because we got that back. We lost it temporarily, but we have it back. It says when you draw the circle, which I can't do. Oh, you know what? I can't use this because we're not entering the fray anymore, so I should have used it, but I didn't. So we're going to have to use our regular asset, Duelist. It's time to duel, right there. When you strike or clash, you may add +2. So we're going to be striking. I mean, I could do battle here, this next battle, but I want to actually use the combat system for this one. So when you strike or clash, you may add +2. If you do, decide before rolling. Inflict +1 on a strong hit. Kind of miss as a miss. But because we're entering the fray technically, we have the advantage. But we had a weak hit prior. So I think this is going to be a clash. So a clash, that means they have initiative because they unfrozen. They're going to attack us. They turn around and they see us with their partner dead. They're like, "Hey, you," and they're going to attack us. So that makes sense mostly for clash. So if you do decide we're rolling, which I'm doing, add +2. Okay, here we go. We're clashing. We got the dice. We're clashing with iron, which is 2. So +2 on this roll, and then +4 total on this roll. 3, that's going to be 5, 6, 7. 7 is a strong hit. Okay, great. Which means in this little moment, this little 7 against 7 over. Yep, we got that. 5, 6, 7. Just double check my work here. Hide the dice. There we go. Okay, a strong hit inflicts your harm, which we did. So I'm going to, and it says, and choose harm. We also inflict +1 harm on a strong hit. So, see, this is what confuses me at times. It doesn't say additional harm. It says inflict +1 harm on a strong hit, because you can also take +1 momentum. You find the opening, inflict +1 harm, which means I would do 2 plus harm. Let's do 2. So I'm going to do 2 plus harm, which is going to be 6 total boxes, like so. So we have this one here with these 3, and then additional 6 more. Okay. Now, on a strong hit, we have initiative, which means I can end the fight. It's a progress move. So when you make a move to take decisive action and score a strong hit, which we did, you may resolve the outcome of the fight. If you do, roll the challenge dice compared to your progress. Momentum is ignored. And I think when I chose them earlier was to take +1 momentum, so I will bump that up. I'm sorry, I decided to choose the +1 harm, so I cannot do the momentum boost, because you choose one of the 2 for clash. All right, on a strong hit. So we're rolling with 9 boxes filled out in this fight against the bandits, who are just got out of the ward, and we had a strong hit against them. So we get our dice back, and we're rolling progress with 9. Remember, we can still lose if it's 9 or 10 on the dice. Oh, look. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's over. Yeah, we defeat. Okay, so on a strong hit, the foe is no longer able to fight. They collapse. They're dead. And it says appropriate to the situation in your tent, as the Oracle of Unsure. All right. We're going to loot them. I mean, what else we're going to do? We are desperate. And so that little bout is done. So because we loot them, we're going to actually, I don't know if looting is actually a mechanic in this game. Resupply. So but I'll give the advantage here because I'll put +2 here. We have +1 per individual, so +2. Actually 3. +3 because there's 3 we just defeated. They have supplies on them. So I'm going to roll here for resupply. But again, something bad can still happen. So it's +3 wits. So that's going to be +6 altogether. Again, this is a house hack. +6 on this roll. Here we go. And, oh, look at that. So that's 10. See, look, it's a weak hit technically. 6 plus 4 is 10, which means, wait, yeah, okay. So that means it's a weak hit, and I don't have momentum to take down that 10. So the weak hit, take +2 supply, but suffer momentum. Because, so +2 supply, here's why. Momentum, let's see, -1, yep, for each. Up to 2 supply. So what I'm going to do is minus momentum to 0. Here's why. The bandits, the remaining 2, got almost or so close to the Arlock. But they came back here on horseback. So we have a horse now. So I'm going to continue on my next page here on episode 8, where we actually have, this is part of our supply. We actually have a horse now. We have general supplies. We don't have time to heal. We don't have time to mentally prepare for spirit. We have to get back. So this is the same journey we're on. And actually, I'm going to mark. This is a waypoint. We defeated these 3 individuals. So we're rolling. We're rolling from yeah, we're on horseback. So on horseback, and then we're going to put waypoint here. WP, waypoint. And we have to roll plus wits. But I'm going to consider the horse as a bond in this little community, which was defeated bandits. Because the horse gives us a little bonus modifier to get back there in time. The next waypoint's obviously going to be the village. But this will give us a our next waypoint. So how many boxes do we fill in here? So let's roll for it. We're rolling basically plus wits, and then +1 for bonds. That's going to be 4 total. Here we go. That's, oh my gosh. The 10's nudging. The 2 looks like it's more visible, so that's hilarious. But that's still it's a weak hit. Or it's not even a hit at all. Uh, I feel like re-rolling because there's interference on the. I'm gonna re-roll. Sorry guys, I'm cheating. I'm re-rolling. 4 is our total. Okay, so we still have the same result for the D6. So 6 over. Oh crap. Yep. So again, even with the re-roll, it didn't count. It's a miss. So as you can see, we have a 6 and a 7, 4 total of 6. No good. That's a weak hit. So we're basically undertaking a journey. Oh man! So even on horseback, on a miss, you're waylaid from your perilous event. We can't mark any progress whatsoever. So it was a weak hit. I'm sorry, I keep saying it was a miss, unfortunately. So we pay the price. And let's see what makes the most sense. I might roll for it first. If I don't like it, I'm going to just choose it. So, 4 or 1. Oh, roll again and apply that result, but make it worse. If you roll this result again, think of something dreadful that changes the course of your quest. Ask the oracle if you're unsure. Make it happen. So roll again, but make it worse. What's worse than 13? You are separated from something or someone. Hmm. You're separated from someone or something. Well, the horse? No, the bandits. They got to the village. Yeah, that's it. I think we're separated from the other bandits we're hoping to catch up to, but they're already back to the village. I think they got back there. They got back in time before we were fiddling with this little plan. So I don't know. That might be good. I mean, there's also the choice I'm looking at here. I'm gonna pause the video and just make a. I might just choose another one if I can't find one alternative. Right. 6 through 9. That 6 through 9 is a person or community you care about is exposed to danger. Griff and his son Alban are in danger, so they are there. So the bandits arrive to to Arlock. There we go. They are in danger. So big capital letters there. In danger. But I have an idea. So, excuse me. Man. Okay. Tired. Okay. So the problem is we're not able to make progress, but something transpires back at the village due to a slight perk that Mr. Morter has, and that is his shadowy forces. So we know from past lore that Hulf, the brother of Morter, has some kind of divine connection to the Dark Realms, and specifically the shadowy forces that can conjure themselves from the Dark Realms. And because it's a site, the church, the forces that Mortar first experienced, though it was very brief, were not working for him, but working along parallel-ish for him. They did give him that little robe, like as a gift. So something in the Dark Realms is playing favorites for Mortar. I just realized what's going on here. I'm not going to tell. Like I have a great idea here, but okay, it's not the dragon. It's totally something else. So I hope this is not a Deus Ex Machina, but basically, let's. All right. So Mortar sets off to the horse with his horse. He galloping as quick as he can. You know, hiya hiya or yeah yeah, and he's going as quick as he can back to Warlock. So I will write down Mortar um, on his way, but he's too late to Warlock. He's too late, and the bandits get there. Again, it's typically fairly vacant. There's not a lot of people walking around, but they get there, and this was not a planned arrival. Remember, there's that mole that's typically walking around, keeping an eye on things, and telling the bandits from afar that hey, there's a shipment here. Well, now the bandits are here, and there's not many things going. There's not much going around. Going on. There's just a couple of beggars who are just standing there, and all of a sudden, the bandits arrive. They run into the alleyways. A couple of civilians, townsfolk are panicking and running away, but not a lot of business is happening. Again, Harlock is just it's a hole, and there's not much to fill in with that until the supplies arrive. So some type of humanitarian aid gets to Arlok. I think might be someone else who's helping. But again, whenever there's a shipment coming through or some type of arrival of some noble, that's when the bandits are notified. Anything at all. But right now we're in between those moments, and there's not much going on. So we got to figure out what these guys do. So when the bandits arrive, and again, I have an idea for about the dark forces, but I want to see what the bandits do. Let's roll two. Let's for action and theme. 22. Preserve. Preserve Invisalign, which again happens whenever I'm trying to do my dice here. So, whoop, there we go. And 21, preserve labor. Oh, of course. So they don't want to kill anybody. They want to maintain because if they reduce the population, I know this is very cynical, but if they reduce the population of people live there, there's going to be less supplies that are going to be transported there. On the flip side, if there's less people, there'll be more leftover supply. So I'm thinking that they don't want to. Maybe they again. I had this theory before. The Misfits are probably short labored right now. They're short staffed. So they might want to recruit. So they don't want to kill anybody who's able-bodied to join their group under threat to join their group. In pressuring people to join. So they don't want to kill anybody when they're there. They're going to get there, they're going to unmount, and they're going to look around, asking where are they, where are the who's the man who took the blah blah blah. They're shouting at the top of the lungs. They're looking around, and then we cut to the scene where wait, let me pull up the village behind me. There we go. We're back to Arlok. This is the village of Arlok. So they're walking around, and then we go. The scene goes to Griff. Now Griff is probably going to be at home. Let's ask the Oracle. Is Griff at home? 50% chance. Oh, of course, he's not. He's on his way home. So he left the church. He was waiting in the church, praying to his God, and then all of a sudden he gets sidetracked by these bandits walking in. So he is quickly going to flee, run back to his home. So he's on his way home. So he's going to continue. He's going to make haste and pick up the speed. He's just an old man. Again, everyone is running, and the bandits, these two very prominent-looking, large individuals, are asking, "Where are they? Where are they?" And they're trying to hassle a few people. Maybe the village elder is there talking to them or trying to plead them not to hurt anybody because he's used to them. And so Griff gets back home, and we have to know in the entire time from the camp to when Albin was transported home, is Albin now back home when he arrives? That's a yes. So with the 57, which was a very, very weak no, I'm going to say he just discovers him. So he enters his house in fear. He closes up the door. He turns around. He sees Albin at the bottom of the stairs. If it's a two-story or whatever, he's in the middle of the house with the rope. Like with the rope, he's like, wondering what happened, and he like his father, his eyes wide open. And he's like, "Son, Albin, you're safe." And like he goes up and hugs him. They start to cry. He's like, you've returned. Oh, thank the gods. And then he's Albin's like, I don't know what happened. Like, it was just a man saved me, and we were escaped. We were in the bandits. And he's crying, and Griff is like, the man describes him. His name was Morter. What happened to him? And the Albin's like, I don't know. We were at camp. We were setting up a campfire, and then I put the robe on because it's cold, and I'm here. And all of a sudden, at the door, there's well, the thing is, how significant of a role does Griff have with the town? Did the bandits know him of his significance, or is he just another villager, like a merchant? I'm thinking he's just a merchant, which means I'm gonna write that down. Griff is a merchant, which means in turn the bandits are interested in him because they use him. So I'm gonna write down Griff is a merchant, or it could be a man of multiple talents. Like he also works at the church. He maybe is a he's a pastor or something. But anyways, I'm gonna put down just for now he's a merchant. And there's a knock on the door. And so this knock, uh, um, obviously, they're both shocked, and they see the silhouette of some curtains or something. They see the silhouette of one man on a horse, kind of just walking up to the past the window, and there's a loud slams on the door, and the door shakes because it's just a big barbarian looking dude. He's knocking. He's like, "Come out, Griff! I know you're there." He's knocking on the door because again, they probably knew they took his son. So I think let's ask the Oracle here. I'm thinking they know who the son is. So 75% chance they know that this was Griff's son. 75% chance. That is a yes. That's a standard yes. So they are. I'll write this down here. They're at um, Griff's door. The bandits. So they know Albin, and he's knocking. We know you have your son. Open up and burn this house down. Well, Hufflepuff will burn this house down. And Griff is like shocked, and so he's telling his son to quickly go hide. Like maybe there's a trap door, so the son hides. So Albin hides. And again, I'm going based on my weak roll earlier. That's kind of my fault. I, I'm the hack I did earlier of the game, the cheat. I always have that come and bite me, bite Mortar in the ass later on. I know earlier the commenters said that be easy on yourself, but I'm going to just make this chaotic and more dramatic. So here's what happens. Albin hides. That's not a problem. He hides underneath the floorboards, whatever. The door finally gets bashed open. There's a piece of wood that just breaks apart, and there's this huge individual, this big barbarian bandit, a misfit. So there's two of them. We have a big barbarian, just this big bulking dude who's about to crack him in half, and there's one on the horseback, maybe a ranger, who is more of a talker, even though the big guy's coming here. So he's walking, maybe it's not the leader, this is just by the muscle of the group. So he walks up to Albin, he walks up to, this guy walks up to Griff. Griff is panicking. He's an older man. He's stepping back. He grabs Griff by the collar and lifts him up, and you can see his feet hanging off the ground. He says, "Where is the boy? We knew you took him. One of you men broke into our camp and released all of our prisoners. Where is that? Where is the boy?" And Griff is like, that's the Oracle. He's an old man, probably not, but 25% chance, can he actually talk? Flash a light. Let's see. 54. Nope, he can't. He is choking. He's like coughing up. He can't talk. He's gasping for air. And that is where Not where we'll end just yet, but he's questioning him, and he can't talk. So that is where Morter comes in. And so again, I'm still remembering that sheet from earlier. Morter is galloping in. He um, he kind of knows where maybe I don't think he knows where Griff lives, but he's going back to the church. He's well, okay. He gallops in. He jumps off the horse. The horse kind of runs off. He's in a rush. He's obsessed right now. This kind of overshadowing his skill of like stay on the horse. Uh, but he's also using his advantage of being a stealthy individual, a rogue, and so he jumps off the horse. He's sneaking through around the building, looking around. Everyone's scattering about like rats, or just kind of going around, scattering, screaming in horror. And he hears. Well, let's do this. This isn't like a perception check or anything, but it's kind of similar. Um, we're going to be doing gathering information. So, though it's in a rush. So, uh, we are in within, we're acting within a community, and that is Griff. So that's a +1 on the roll. So we're gathering information. We're looking for the bandits, as simple as I can put it. We're gathering information, and this will also drive the narrative. That's why I'm beginning to really enjoy these moves. They not only work mechanically, but they also direct the story, or I should say, influence the story. So here we go. We're doing wits, which is 3, and then +1 is the bond for +4. But because Griff is kind of on at death's door, I'm going to say it's going to be just +3. There's no bonus for this one. So here we go. +3 on this roll. This is a big one. Okay, 5. Oh, wow. So 6, 7, 8. That is a strong hit. So here's what's going to happen. Strong hit. So Mortar arrives. He looks, and as a strong hit, it's SH, strong hit, exclamation mark. You discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you might learn. Sorry about that. Action you must take to make progress is made clear. Envision what you learn, the Oracle, and take +2 momentum. All right. So while Griff is being interrogated, I have to remember the cheat earlier I did was the modification down not including bonds. So that cheat has been resolved. That dissolved, I should say. So we're no longer handicapping the situation, or I should say modifying it with a modifier. All right, so we need to ask the Oracle what's going on here. We discover something helpful. We discover what the bandits are. And so I'm going to check the Oracle here. Action themes. I'm going to roll. See what is it that happens. So let's roll for action. He finds, let's see, he finds the bandits. That's going to be 44. I'm sorry, 47. Reveal, and then the next one is right over his cloak. 24. That's going to be balance. Okay. Interesting. Reveal balance. I think Mortar is going to attempt and take hostage the misfit who is outside the door on the horse, or maybe he jumped off the horse. Let's say he just jumped off the horse and he's at the door. He's kind of keeping watch, but he's also looking in to see what's going on because they're looking for the boy, looking for the prisoners. And so Mortar's going to use that strong hit to his advantage. He's going to basically use face danger, take something risky. And this will be to, I'll give him a +2 bonus on this one, just from that strong hit earlier against this house hack. I'll let him roll a +2. I'm trying to take the bandit hostage and shout at the big guy to put down Griff, to put that man down with the, again, blade at the bandit who's unaware. That's the idea. That's what we want to do. So we'll pull up the dice here. I'm giving him +2 on top of this roll because it's going to be sneaker. This obviously deception, stealth, trickery. So shadow. 4, and then 5, 6, 7. It's a 7 total, which might be overkill. So let's say plus 1, so 5. Actually, 2 is 6. Let's do plus 1. Just be fair with the potential chaos and mortar considering. So 5 on top of this roll. We're trying to get behind and do that in inventory I said earlier. Put that man down. 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 2 10s. Oh my gosh. Oh. We can release the card anyways. Duelist doesn't really qualify for this moment. Bladebound. Oh, well. Look at the double rolls. Okay, so we rolled 5. That's, yeah. And momentum, I have 2. I don't have it. Oh, man. Yeah, I walked in this one. Okay, so even though yeah, it's a miss, does not work out. Okay. Yikes. Okay, so miss with matches is bad. So miss with matches. This is bad. Okay, so on a miss, you fail. Your progress is undermined by dramatic or costly turn of events. We can do a plot twist if we want. We get rid of the dice here, but we first have to figure out with matches. It's an extra. It's another problem. So we go back to the rules here. Matches on a miss that represents a heightened negative outcome or complication, new danger. Okay, so let's go to plot twist. I think this qualifies for this very moment. Plot twist might be a good one that we can kind of modify or heighten the risk factor. So I think we had a great idea in mind, but it didn't work out for whatever is going to happen. Roll here. So let's pull the dice up and roll the major plot twist, which most likely be our cliffhanger for today. All right. 73. So 73, a new danger appears. Yeah, maybe a new danger appears. It's the big guy, probably, or it's another bandit. So, okay, yeah. So here's the thing: a new danger appears. I gotta write this down. All right, that's the first consideration. I have an idea who it is. It was a minor character I mentioned earlier. A new danger appears, and I'm also gonna roll action theme just in case. If not, I might not consider these outcomes. But the dice. Okay, so we have 55, which is going to be ornate. So ornate. All right, and then we have another roll. 65, which is going to be dream. Coordinate dream. In your dreams. It could just mean what someone says. So here's the thing. All right. Oh, first off, let's update our location. Let's go back to Escabur. We are now in Arlock. Okay, neat. It is the mole. Remember, there has been an informant. There has been someone, a double agent, who has infiltrated the village, and seeing that wherever he was, seeing where his two fellow misfits arrived looking for someone, he took an idea what's going on, and he was following close behind, though in the shadows. This is probably another rogue. So, seeing as Morter appeared from behind at the blade to throat, at the doorway of Griff's house, yelling, "Put that old man down," the barbarian, I'm sorry, doesn't kill Griff. I don't think he will. Not yet. Because for some reason they need the boy. I don't know. It's one of maybe I don't think it maybe needs the boy per se. Where's the prisoners? Maybe the prisoners themselves were more like maybe it's an insurance policy. They can do more against the village with the boy as a hostage. They can demand more. Like, if you don't give us this, the boy's dead. So I think they're just like, where are the prisoners? So let's kind of modify what this big man's asking for, and say, where are the prisoners? Where's the boy, etc. And so he's not going to kill Griff just yet. He wants to kill him, like blood boiling, but he's not. I think the boss says, just find out who took them, don't kill him, bring him back to me. So The boss probably just okay. That's coordinate the dream. So I think I'm going to take out the dream can be an idea. So the boss of the Misfits wants uh, the man responsible. Wants the man responsible, which maybe he thinks it was. Maybe the big guy thinks it was Griff at first, which is like maybe this guy's just a big idiot. He's like, where are they? Give us them. Why'd you do it? You know, or how did you? Blah blah blah. He thinks it was Griff this whole time, and Griff is an old man, so he's just oblivious to probably couldn't do it. Maybe Lily has a cane, and the cane probably fell on the floor. But because of what happened earlier, we get knocked out or we get surprised. We got to figure out what happens to us. So I'm trying to figure out what happens to our character. The new danger is the spy from the Misfits who knocks out or who ambushes us. So this could turn into a big problem. And because it was a double, it was two of the same dice, that's the problem. Something bad has to happen here. And I rolled that a new danger appears, but I feel like there needs to be another plot twist. Not just the danger of that man surprising us, but I think here's what's going to happen. It does. I'm sorry, but it does make sense why to kill Griff now. So Morter's playing hero. He's neutral good. So again, he's obsessed, passive, skilled, and obsessed. Like I think that can kind of qualify to what he's doing. He cares for Griff in some extent. It's like he's loyal to his mission. He's going to do what he's going to rescue the kid, but things going south. And so because the big guy sees the knife at his comrade's throat, the scout, the spy is right behind. There's like that meme in church. There's like three people behind each other, and there's a guy up in the booth with like a gun or something. That's literally what's going on here. So there is a Griff being held up. The big guy, head turned, and again, the Griff is about holding onto his collar like this. And then there's the unsuspecting Misfit member with the blade to his throat. There's Morter of the blade to his throat, and behind him is the spy with a knife pressing against Morter's back. So the spy is a knife to Morter's back. Not just yet. So the big guy sees this, he smiles, he smirks, and Morter's like can feel it, and he lets off the knife from the bandit in front of him. The bandit turns around and seeing what's going on. Griff grabs the neck of Griff and cracks it. He kills it. So the big guy, the big misfit, kills Griff, unfortunately. Kills Griff, cracking his neck right in front of him. And then Griff just falls on the floor, dead, motionless. And again, Morter's passive, so he's like doesn't shed a tear. He's enraged. His fist is it's quenching hard. He's squeezing his hand very hard, but he can't do anything. So his hands are up, and the big guy turns around and walks through the door. He kind of crouches down because he's huge. He's like 8 feet, or let's say 7 feet. He crouches down and walks to the door and looks down at Morter. Morter's probably like 5'2". He was looking up. He says, "So, you're the bastard." It's like, and I'm trying to think out how he was sound as a kind of a dummy, not too smart. So he says, "You the one who took our prisoners. Our boss wants to see you." So and then that's where it cuts to black. So, yeah. And because of that, we are going to be almost literally down to no supply, to zero supply, unfortunately. And so that means we're unprepared again, and that reduces our reset to 1. I think. So unprepared, let's see, I think there was a rule to that. Let's go to the rules here. We're out of supply. When you're out of supply, exhausted, mark unprepared. And if you suffer additional negative supply while unprepared, you must exchange each separate supply for any combination of health, blah, blah, blah. Reduce to 0 when your supply, mark unprepared. If you suffer additional, okay, we're just unprepared. I'm going to keep it at that for now. I'm not going to do anything else. Right, okay. So naturally, he's going to clean us out. We're going to lose all of our things. We're now held captive. for now. So we are, yeah, I'll leave it at that. The big guy's talking to us. There are big guy and the two. So there's the three misfits. There is a spy, a ranger of sorts, and then a barbarian. The big guy, the muscle, he's right there, and he's talking to us as Morter is helpless with his hands up in the air. And that's what we're gonna leave out. Wow, this did not go well. So, um, hmm, I don't know if this requires a move, a waypoint. I mean, we did get here as a waypoint. I mean, that is technically true. Let's do a milestone. We have significant progress, overcome a critical obstacle, completing a perilous quest, which we didn't do any of those things. So, I'm sorry, that's Val. The journey, we might have to do the journey roll next, or we might enter combat if something happens to our advantage. I don't know. I have a couple of ideas that could help benefit Mortar here, but I don't want to be pulled out of thin air, which is a solo play in general. But like what I mean, like pulled out of my um, my bucket of helpful twists. Undertake a journey. That's one thing we're going to roll for each segment of the journey, but we're not really doing that right now. We're at an impasse, a literal impasse. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for joining me. Oh, that's right. Well, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this telling. Please subscribe, like, share, and most important, comment. See you in the next one.